everyone, and welcome back to English as a Second Language. I'm David, your host, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. Whether you're listening during your morning coffee, on your way to work, or just relaxing at home, thank you for choosing to spend some time with me learning English. Today's episode is part of our motivation series where we explore stories and reasons that inspire people around the world to learn English. And I have to say, today's topic is particularly exciting because it's happening right now in 2025. We're going to talk about why so many young Vietnamese people are learning English this year. And honestly, their reasons might surprise you and definitely inspire you. Before we dive in, I want to mention that we'll be reviewing some really useful vocabulary at the end of today's episode. Words that you'll hear all the time when people talk about learning languages, career opportunities, and global connections. So stick around for that. It's going to be really helpful. Now, let me start with something that caught my attention just last week. I was reading an article about language learning trends, and one statistic jumped out at me. Did you know that English enrollment in Vietnamese universities has increased by over 40% just in the past 2 years? That's enormous. And it's not just universities, private English schools, online platforms, conversation clubs, they're all seeing incredible growth. But here's what's really interesting. This isn't just about better job opportunities, though that's definitely part of it. Something bigger is happening. Young Vietnamese people are learning English because they see it as their bridge to the world. They're not just thinking about getting a better job in Vietnam, they're thinking globally. They're dreaming big. And English is the key to those dreams. So let's explore this together. What's driving this incredible enthusiasm for English learning among young Vietnamese people? What's changed in 2025 that's making English feel more important than ever before? Let me tell you about Linh. She's 22 years old, lives in Ho Chi Minh City, and she's been studying English seriously for about 3 years now. When I asked her why she started learning English, her answer was fascinating. She said, "David, I want to be part of the global conversation. I see what's happening in technology, in climate change, in business, and I want to contribute. But to do that, I need to speak the language that connects the world." That phrase, part of the global conversation, really stuck with me because that's exactly what English represents for so many young Vietnamese people today. It's not just a language, it's their ticket to participate in discussions that matter to them, to connect with people who share their interests, and to access opportunities that didn't exist for previous generations. Think about it this way. When Linh wants to learn about artificial intelligence, most of the cutting-edge research is published in English. When she wants to start a business, many of the best resources, courses, and mentors are English-speaking. When she wants to collaborate on environmental projects, the international teams she wants to join communicate in English. English isn't just helping her get a job, it's helping her build the life she wants. And Linh isn't alone. All across Vietnam, young people are making English a priority because they see it as essential for their future. But what's particularly interesting is how they're learning it. They're not just sitting in traditional classrooms memorizing grammar rules. They're using English to pursue their passions. Take Minh, for example. He's 19 and absolutely obsessed with renewable energy. Spends hours watching YouTube videos in English about solar panel technology, wind power innovations, and sustainable engineering. Is he learning English? Absolutely. But he's also learning about the field he wants to work in. He's killing two birds with one stone, as we say in English. This approach is brilliant because it makes learning English feel natural and purposeful. Instead of studying English as a separate subject, young Vietnamese people are using English as a tool to learn about things they genuinely care about. They're learning English through gaming, through K-pop, through cooking videos, through business podcasts, through environmental documentaries. Now, let's talk about something that's really accelerated this trend, the digital revolution. Vietnam has one of the fastest growing internet populations in Southeast Asia. Young Vietnamese people are digital natives, and they're using technology in incredibly creative ways to learn English. Social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram have become informal English classrooms. Young Vietnamese people follow English-speaking influencers not just to learn the language, but to understand different cultures, different perspectives, different ways of thinking. They're practicing English by commenting on posts, joining live streams, and participating in global conversations. But it's not just about consuming English content, they're creating it too. Vietnamese YouTubers are making videos in English to reach international audiences. Vietnamese students are starting English language podcasts about topics they're passionate about. Vietnamese entrepreneurs are writing business plans in English to attract international investors. This is what I mean when I say they're thinking globally. They're not just learning English to understand the world, they're learning English to contribute to it, to share their own perspectives, to add their voices to the global conversation. And here's something really important to understand about Vietnam's economy right now. The country is experiencing rapid growth, especially in technology and manufacturing. International companies are setting up operations in Vietnam, and they need employees who can communicate effectively in English. But it's not just about working for foreign companies. Vietnamese companies are also expanding internationally, and they need team members who can represent them on the global stage. This creates what we call a positive feedback loop. As more young Vietnamese people learn English, more international opportunities become available in Vietnam. As more international opportunities become available, more young people see the value in learning English. It's a cycle that keeps growing and growing. Let me share another story that really illustrates this. I met a young woman named Thao who works for a Vietnamese tech startup. Her company develops a mobile app that's become popular in Vietnam, but they want to expand to other countries. Tao's job is to manage their international partnerships and marketing. She told me, 6 months ago, I was just a regular employee, but because I could communicate well in English, I became our international business development manager. My English skills literally changed my career path. This is happening all over Vietnam. Young people who invest in learning English are finding that it opens doors they never even knew existed. They're not just getting better jobs, they're getting different kinds of jobs, more interesting jobs, jobs that let them work with people from all over the world. But there's another factor that's really important to mention, the mindset shift that's happening among young Vietnamese people. Previous generations might have learned English primarily for practical reasons, to pass exams, to get specific jobs, to fulfill requirements. But today's young learners have a different motivation. They see English as a tool for personal growth, for expanding their horizons, for becoming the person they want to be. This is what we call intrinsic motivation, motivation that comes from within, from personal satisfaction and fulfillment. When you're intrinsically motivated to learn something, you learn it faster, you remember it better, and you actually enjoy the process more. Young Vietnamese people are intrinsically motivated to learn English because they see it as connected to their identity, their values, their dreams. They're not learning English because someone told them to. They're learning it because they want to, because it helps them pursue their passions and achieve their goals. And speaking of goals, let's talk about study abroad opportunities. Vietnam's economic growth has created a growing middle class, and more families can afford to send their children to universities in English-speaking countries. But to succeed in these programs, students need strong English skills before they leave Vietnam. This has created a huge demand for high-quality English education. Students aren't just trying to pass the TOEFL or IELTS, they want to be genuinely prepared for academic success in English. They want to be able to participate in class discussions, write research papers, and build relationships with international classmates. Many young Vietnamese people I've spoken to talk about their study abroad plans not just as educational opportunities, but as life-changing experiences. They want to immerse themselves in English-speaking cultures, to see the world from different perspectives, to develop a global mindset, and they see English proficiency as the foundation that makes all of this possible. Now let's talk about something that might surprise you, the influence of pop culture. Korean pop culture, or K-pop, has become incredibly popular in Vietnam. But here's the interesting thing. Many K-pop songs include English lyrics, and K-pop stars often speak English in interviews and social media posts. This has created a generation of young Vietnamese people who associate English with things they love: music, entertainment, style, creativity. Similarly, American movies, British TV shows, and international streaming platforms have made English feel more accessible and appealing. Young Vietnamese people are watching Netflix series in English, following English-speaking YouTubers, and listening to English podcasts. They're surrounding themselves with English content, and it's making the language feel natural and enjoyable. This is such a powerful way to learn because it doesn't feel like studying, it feels like entertainment. But while they're enjoying themselves, they're also absorbing pronunciation, vocabulary, grammar, and cultural understanding. They're learning English through osmosis, just by being exposed to it in contexts they enjoy. Let me tell you about one more factor that's really driving this trend: the entrepreneurial spirit among young Vietnamese people. Vietnam has a growing startup ecosystem, and many young entrepreneurs are thinking beyond the Vietnamese market from day one. They're building products and services that can scale internationally, and they know that English is essential for this kind of global thinking. I met a 24-year-old named Duke who started an e-commerce platform for Vietnamese agricultural products. From the beginning, he planned to sell Vietnamese goods to international customers. He spent months improving his English so he could communicate with suppliers, customers, and investors from different countries. He told me, "My English skills aren't just helping me run my business, they're helping me think bigger about what my business could become." This entrepreneurial mindset is really inspiring. Young Vietnamese people aren't just thinking about finding jobs, they're thinking about creating jobs, building companies, solving problems on a global scale, and they see English as an essential tool for this kind of ambitious thinking. Now, I want to address something important. Learning English isn't always easy, and young Vietnamese people face some unique challenges. Vietnamese and English are very different languages, different grammar structures, different sound systems, different cultural contexts. But what I've noticed is that young Vietnamese learners are approaching these challenges with incredible creativity and persistence. They're using technology to practice pronunciation. They're joining online conversation groups to improve their speaking skills. They're reading English books and articles to expand their vocabulary. They're not waiting for perfect conditions or perfect resources. They're making the most of what they have and finding creative solutions to overcome obstacles. This resourcefulness is really admirable. It shows that their motivation to learn English is strong enough to overcome difficulties, strong enough to keep them going even when progress feels slow, strong enough to make them find new ways to practice and improve. And here's something that gives me a lot of hope: the community aspect of English learning among young Vietnamese people. They're not learning alone. They're forming study groups, joining online communities, creating social media groups where they can practice together. They're supporting each other, encouraging each other, and learning from each other. This collaborative approach is so powerful because it makes learning English feel less intimidating and more social. When you're learning with friends, when you're part of a community, when you're supporting each other's progress, the whole experience becomes more enjoyable and sustainable. Before we wrap up, let me ask you a few questions to help you think about what we've discussed today. First, what do you think is the main reason young Vietnamese people are so motivated to learn English? Is it career opportunities, global connections, personal growth, or something else? Second, how do you think technology is changing the way people learn English? What are some ways that young Vietnamese people are using technology that might inspire your own learning? Third, what does the phrase "part of the global conversation" mean to you? How do you think English could help you participate in conversations that matter to you? And finally, what can you learn from the Vietnamese approach to English learning? What aspects of their motivation, methods, or mindset could you apply to your own language learning journey? As we come to the end of today's episode, I want to leave you with something really important. The story of young Vietnamese people learning English in 2025 isn't just about Vietnam. It's about the power of language to transform lives, to open opportunities, to connect people across cultures and borders. Whether you're Vietnamese or from any other country, whether you're just starting to learn English or you've been studying for years, you're part of this same global movement. You're investing in yourself, you're preparing for opportunities that might not even exist yet, and you're building bridges between your world and the wider world. The young Vietnamese people we've talked about today are proof that when you combine strong motivation with creative methods and persistent effort, you can achieve incredible things. They're not just learning English, they're using English to pursue their dreams, to solve problems, to build the future they want to see. And you can do the same. Your reasons for learning English might be different from theirs. Your methods might be different. Your timeline might be different. But the fundamental principle is the same. English is a tool that can help you become the person you want to be, achieve the goals you've set for yourself, and contribute to the world in ways that matter to you. So anyway, take inspiration from these young Vietnamese learners. Think globally, use technology creatively, find ways to connect your English learning to your passions and interests, join communities, support other learners, and remember that every conversation in English, every article you read, every video you watch is making you stronger and more capable. Thank you so much for joining me today on English as a Second Language. I hope this episode has inspired you and given you some new ideas for your own learning journey. Next week, we'll be back with another episode in our motivation series where we'll explore how refugees are using English to rebuild their lives and contribute to their new communities. It's going to be incredibly moving and inspiring. Until then, keep practicing, keep growing, and remember, you're not just learning a language, you're building a bridge to the world. Take care, and I'll see you next time.